Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Stacy, and today we're going to go over a little video on how I like to trim my tomato plants. So there are interdeterminate variety tomatoes and determinate variety tomatoes, and it's really important to know that difference because if you trim determinate variety tomatoes, which are these Roma tomatoes right back here, you're cutting off basically all your produce. If you trim off the sucker branches, you're trimming off all your flower production. In interdeterminate varieties, you actually want to trim those suckers because it's taking away from your flower production and your produce that are growing along the main stem. We have a main stem that grows on our plants. So we're just going to jump right in to show you today how I trim mine and just the difference between interdeterminate and determinate varieties. Let's jump right in. These are jelly bean tomatoes, and we have 3 plants growing. There's 2 in this container and 1 in that container. Now, interdeterminate varieties, which this is, I like to prune all the sucker branches that are growing within my stalk because these interdeterminate varieties push out lots and lots of sucker branches. Plus they grow really tall. They get to about 6 to 8 feet tall. So by pruning those sucker branches, you encourage a lot of blooms and tomato production along that stem. Versus not pruning, it takes away a lot of the energy off of your main stalk. So I like to prune out all those sucker branches so that all the energy goes into producing my fruit. And if you leave those sucker branches, the tomatoes that come out on the sucker branches tend to be a little bit smaller than the ones coming off of the main stalk, as you can see right here. So that's why I like to get rid of any sucker branches on my interdeterminate tomatoes. Now, determinate tomatoes are a little bit different. Let's go take a little look at the Roma tomatoes I have growing. So these are both Roma tomatoes, one's on the left and one's on the right. You can see they're under my shade cloth because we reached temperatures above 85 degrees this last month, and I really need to protect my blooms and my tomato plants from that hot weather. If it gets too hot above that 85, your blooms, you might notice they end up dropping, and you're not holding your pollination that well. So a lot of these blooms had dropped off in the beginning before I started putting up my shade cloth. You can see we're holding a lot of produce now. So these are determinate varieties, and I don't trim the sucker branches off of these. Determinate variety tomatoes like to push out their produce all at once. So by trimming your sucker branches on your determinate varieties, it's actually hurting the plant because you're cutting away from your blooms and your production. So all I do is basically just clean it up. Any leaves that are kind of crisscrossing each other and any bunching that's going on, I just cut the leaves out. I don't cut any stalks, I just go ahead and cut these leaves. You want to make sure you're cutting your tomato plants or any kind of plant in the garden when you're not getting rain for at least 24 hours because any of those open wounds might get diseases in it if it rains after you cut and that wound is exposed to the elements out here. It might get some fungus or some bacteria in there and then cause your plant to really just go downhill from there. So what I like to do is just trim when it's not going to rain within a couple of days, and I get rid of all these leaves that are extra around my plant and definitely inside here. So we're just going to cut some out with you just to show how we open it up. We're just going to snip away any leaves that are causing congestion in my tomato plants because this is really what causes a lot of bacteria when there's not a lot of airflow in between your leaves. You can see we're getting rid of all the leaves that are bunched up together. I'm also going to trim a few branches on this little guy. Alright you guys, so we are done trimming, and as you can see we have a lot more airflow through our leaves. Can you guys notice how less bushy this is? We have a lot more airflow and you can actually see through the tomato plants now. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and it really helps you to just trim up your tomato plants the right way. Remember, determinate variety tomatoes stay dwarf size, and then interdeterminate varieties grow a lot taller. I'm so sorry about that traffic, you guys. I know in every video I do, there's some kind of truck going by. I live on a main road, and it's just such a nice area to live in. We have so much state land around here. We have bald eagles that live around us. We live 2 seconds from a lake right down the road, so that's why we picked this location. Plus we have a ½ acre to grow on, and this house is ours. This is the first house we've ever bought, and we've been here since October. We've been doing a lot in the garden. I've been testing out the garden in different growing spaces, so that's really important when you're getting into a new location and you're growing something new in a new spot, especially when you move. you have to kind of see where that sun's at. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and it helps you to just take care of your tomatoes. They really like full sun and a lot of fertilizer. I use like a 10-10-10 or 8-3-5 on mine, which is from Nature's Organics. It's a granule fertilizer, and I'll post that link down below from when we put all those nutrients in our containers from start to finish. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys so very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.